Hey everyone, and welcome back. We're diving into a topic that, well, let's be honest, has kind of fascinated people forever, the afterlife.
Yeah, for sure.
And we've got a pretty cool guide for this deep dive. Alan Kardec's The Spirits book.
Oh, a classic.
Definitely. Specifically, we're looking at a section where Kardec just goes straight to the source, asking spirits about heaven, hell, and purgatory. You know, those big questions.
The heavy hitters. And back in the 1800s when this was all happening, the answers he got from those spirits, well, let's just say they might surprise you.
For sure. So Kardec, being Kardec, jumps right in. He asks, are heaven and hell, actual places? Like, do they have an address? Pearly gates for heaven, flames and all that for hell,
Yeah.
the whole 9 yards.
And the spirits, they're like, nope, not really, no cosmic zip codes or anything. Instead, they present this way more, complex idea. Heaven and hell, they're saying, they're not like physical spots, but states of being.
So no map to heaven then.
Not exactly. More like a roadmap for your soul, I guess you could say.
Okay, so then what, according to these spirits, determines what our afterlife is like?
Basically, it comes down to how far along you are, spiritually speaking. The more evolved a spirit is, the happier they are, the more peace they have. But if a spirit's not as evolved...
More suffering.
Yeah, pretty much.
So it's like your internal state, how much you've grown as a spirit, that's what creates your own heaven or hell.
You got it. It's all about inner evolution. And there's this powerful passage, actually, in the Spirits book, where the spirits say, punishments and joys are inherent to the degree of a spirit's perfection. Each spirit carries within itself the source of its own happiness or unhappiness.
Whoa, that's like pretty deep.
Yeah.
It really changes how you think about the whole afterlife thing.
Right.
No one's sending you anywhere. It's more like you create your own experience.
Yeah, and they even say happy and unhappy spirits are everywhere. So your inner world, it shapes everything.
Wow. Okay, so we've got heaven and hell, not as places, but as states of being. But what about purgatory? That in-between place.
Yeah, the waiting room. Kardec definitely didn't shy away from asking about that one.
He dives right into it. So what do the spirits have to say about purgatory?
Well, they saw it as a time of, learning from your mistakes, a chance to work through stuff and come out the other side with a better understanding. But get this, they suggest this process usually happens while we're still alive.
Wait, so we're living in purgatory now?
In a way, yeah. Here, I'm quoting from the book, it is almost always on the earth that you make your own purgatory, and that is where God enables you to expiate your wrongs.
Okay, that's a lot to process. So it's less about fire and brimstone and more about, facing the consequences of our actions.
Yeah, exactly. And then using those tough times to learn and grow.
So if we're all, crafting our own purgatory here on Earth, what does that even look like? How would someone even know?
Well, think about those times when you've messed up. Maybe you hurt someone, or maybe you just made a choice you really regret. That guilt, the struggle to make things right, that's all part of it.
Oh, okay, I see what you mean. It's that feeling of being stuck, trying to get unstuck. Not fun, but maybe there's a purpose to it.
Right. It's about owning your actions, working through the hard stuff, and coming out stronger on the other side.
So it's like those rough patches we go through, they could actually be opportunities to become better people.
Yeah, exactly. It's a pretty interesting way to look at it, right?
Totally. Okay, so heaven and hell are states of being. Purgatory is happening right here, right now. But here's a question that popped into my head. If heaven and hell aren't literal places, why do some spirits still describe them that way?
Ah, good question. And it's something Kardec himself was curious about.
Oh, I bet.
So he asked the spirits, and their answer, they basically said they try to use language that the person they're talking to will understand, meet them where they are.
Makes sense. So if you're talking to someone really religious, you might not want to just shock them with a totally new idea.
Exactly. It's about being sensitive, Plus, the spirits themselves, they're learning too. Some are more advanced in their understanding than others.
So some spirits might still be kind of stuck in those old school ideas about heaven and hell.
Could be. It's like anything else. It takes time to process and really get a grasp on new information.
Oh, for sure.
And the Spirits book actually talks about this, explaining that, and I'm reading here. When they are of a low order and are not completely dematerialized, spirits retain a portion of their earthly ideas and translate their impressions using terms that are familiar to them. They find themselves in surroundings that do not permit them to probe the future except in a deficient way. This is the reason why errant or recently discarnated spirits usually speak just as they would have if they were still incarnate.
So it's like They're still carrying around some of their baggage from when they were alive.
Yeah, their earthly perspective.
It's fascinating to think about how everyone, even spirits, are still growing and learning.
It is. Okay, so we've busted some myths about heaven and hell, redefined purgatory. But let's get back to heaven for a second. If it's not a place, what is it?
Yeah, good point. Like, what's the experience actually like?
Well, remember how we were talking about spiritual development?
Hmm?
It's like heaven is the ultimate level up. Pure joy, being totally connected to the universe, expanded consciousness.
Sounds pretty amazing.
Right. And the book describes it as, and this is a beautiful passage, universal space. The planets, the stars, and all the highly evolved worlds on which spirits enjoy all their faculties without the tribulations of material life or the anguish inherent to less evolved stages.
Wow.
So less about location, more about that journey of growth and discovery.
It's like an adventure, but for your soul.
Exactly. So afterlife,
Really?
way more dynamic than people might think.
For sure. It's not about reaching some finish line. It's about constantly growing and becoming the best version of yourself.
And speaking of stages of development, maybe it's time to talk about those different levels, those degrees of spiritual progress.
You mean like some spirits being more advanced than others?
Exactly. It's a pretty common question, and the spirits had some interesting insights to share.
Okay, I'm all ears.
Let's dive in.
Yeah.
So, you know how sometimes you hear about these different levels or spheres in the afterlife?
Yeah, like some spirits being in the fourth heaven or the fifth heaven, stuff like that.
And it can get kind of confusing, right? Like, are those actual places? Kardec asked about that too. You know, spirits claiming to be in the fourth or fifth heaven.
What did the spirits say about that? Is there some kind of cosmic ranking system going on?
Well, it turns out our earthly language can sometimes make it hard to understand the spirit world. Like, we try to put things into boxes, you know, places, levels.
Right. But the spirit world doesn't really work that way.
Not necessarily. The spirits explain that those terms, like fourth heaven, fifth heaven, they don't actually refer to physical places.
Oh, okay. So what do they mean then?
Think of it more as a description of their progress, like how far along they are on their spiritual journey.
So it's not about their address in the afterlife, but more about their level of evolution.
You got it. It's like saying, I'm a level 5 chef instead of, I live in the gourmet district. It's about describing what they're capable of, not their location.
That makes way more sense. It all goes back to that idea of heaven being more about your inner state, that ongoing growth, not some specific place you end up.
Exactly. And those other descriptions you hear, like the city of flowers or the third sphere, those are more like poetic metaphors.
Trying to give us a sense of what it's like, even though our brains can't really grasp it.
Yeah, exactly. Like, how do you explain something that's completely beyond human experience? It's like trying to describe colors to someone who's been blind their whole life.
Oh, that's a good analogy.
Ah.
So we've got heaven and hell as states of being, purgatory happening here on Earth. And you mentioned earlier that Kardec also asked about this kingdom of the good on Earth.
Yeah, he was really curious about that. Specifically, the idea that maybe Earth itself could evolve, become a place where goodness reigns.
So are we talking about everyone suddenly becoming saints?
Not exactly. It's more about this gradual shift. Humanity evolving morally and spiritually.
Like becoming more compassionate, more understanding?
Exactly. And this idea is actually closely tied to the concept of reincarnation.
Oh, okay, reincarnation. So we're talking about souls coming back to Earth in new bodies after they die.
Yep, that's the one. It's a pretty common belief in a lot of different cultures and spiritual traditions.
And the spirits Kardec talked to, they believed in reincarnation too.
They seem to, yeah, and they saw it as this key part of our journey, this ongoing process of learning and growth.
So how does reincarnation tie into Earth becoming a kingdom of the good?
Well, imagine each lifetime as a chance for a soul to learn and evolve. Like, each time you come back, you're building on what you learned before.
Okay, so each lifetime is like a semester in the school of life.
Something like that. You're taking different classes, facing different challenges, and hopefully graduating to higher levels of understanding.
And as more souls graduate, the overall vibe of the planet gets better.
That's the idea. It's like we're raising the collective consciousness, so to speak.
So the more evolved souls we have on Earth, the closer we get to this kingdom of the good. It's like we're building a critical mass of good vibes.
Exactly. And the spirits believe this process is already happening. They said more evolved souls are being born all the time, bringing their wisdom and compassion with them.
That's pretty hopeful, actually. But what about those who haven't quite caught up yet? The ones still stuck in those less evolved mindsets?
Well, the concept of karma comes into play here.
Ah, karma. The universal scorekeeper.
You got it. The spirits explain that those who choose negativity, selfishness, harmful actions, they're going to keep experiencing the consequences of those choices, but not as punishment, more like a natural cause and effect kind of thing.
So, like, if you make a mess, you got to clean it up.
Exactly. And sometimes that cleanup might take a few lifetimes. It's about learning from those mistakes, making amends, and eventually evolving beyond them.
No escaping the consequences of your actions, huh?
Not really, but remember, it's all about growth, not punishment. The goal is to help everyone reach that higher state of being, even if it takes a while.
This whole reincarnation and karma thing can be a lot to wrap your head around.
Oh, for sure. It's a big concept. But when you connect it to this idea of Earth's transformation, it starts to make a little more sense.
Like, it's all part of this grand plan.
Yeah, kind of. It gives our existence this whole other layer of meaning and purpose. We're not just here for a short time and then it's over. We're part of something much bigger.
Whoa. Okay, so if we're all on this journey of evolution, and Earth itself is evolving too, what does that mean for us right now? What can we do to help create this kingdom of the good?
That's the big question, right? And the spirits actually gave some pretty specific guidance on that. They stress the importance of focusing on our own moral and spiritual development.
So, like, becoming better people.
Exactly. Working on those qualities like compassion, kindness, understanding, things that will help us make better choices.
Okay, so not just meditating on a mountaintop, but actually putting those good vibes into action in our daily lives.
Exactly. Being patient with that annoying coworker, forgiving a friend who messed up. It's about those everyday choices that add up to something bigger.
Like that saying, be the change you want to see in the world.
That's a good one. But in this case, it's not just a nice saying. It's like a fundamental principle of how the universe works.
So every act of kindness, every time we choose love over fear, it's all contributing to this kingdom of the good.
You got it. And the spirits believe these choices have a huge impact, not just on us, but on everyone and everything around us.
Wow. So we're not just passive bystanders. We're actually
Yeah.
co-creating this future.
Exactly. We have a role to play, each and every one of us.
That's both a little scary and super inspiring at the same time. Like, it makes you realize how much power we actually have.
It does, doesn't it? And it makes you wonder, if we all really embrace this idea, what kind of world could we create?
Big questions, big possibilities.
And we've only scratched the surface. There's so much more to explore.
Okay, so we're back, diving deep into Allan Kardec and the Spirits book.
Part 3. We're in the home stretch now.
Definitely. And things are getting pretty intense. We've talked about heaven and hell as states of being, purgatory happening right here on Earth, reincarnation, karma.
It's a lot to take in.
For sure.
Yeah.
But I think the biggest question for me is, like, now what? What do we do with all this knowledge?
Yeah, that's the important part, right? It can't just be some abstract, heady stuff.
Exactly. Like, how do we actually apply this to our lives?
Yeah.
Especially if we're talking about Earth becoming this kingdom of the good.
Well, thankfully, the spirits gave some pretty practical advice on that. They were big on this idea of moral progress, following God's laws.
Okay, God's laws. That sounds kind of vague. What does that even mean?
Basically, ditch the pride and selfishness. Those are the real root of the problem, they said. Causes so much suffering for individuals and for everyone.
So less me, and more like thinking about others.
Exactly. Shifting that focus from yourself to the bigger picture, seeing how we're all connected, that was their recipe for a better world.
That kind of sounds like a recipe for a better life too, right? Less ego, more empathy.
Totally. And the spirits believed that as we grow, as we become more moral and more spiritual, it changes the whole vibe of Earth. Like, we attract good spirits and push away the negative ones.
This is like our personal evolution. It has an effect on the whole planet.
Yeah, exactly. We're all part of this big web, you know? Our choices matter. And they even talked about what happens to the spirits who don't want to evolve, who cling to that darkness.
Oh, what do they say about that?
Well, they basically said that as humanity evolves, those spirits, they're going to feel more and more out of place. Like, the energy won't match anymore.
Oh, interesting. So no more hiding out in the shadows.
Not if you're vibing with that lower energy.
Yeah.
They said those spirits will probably move on to other worlds, less evolved places where they fit in better.
So it's not really about punishment. It's more like finding the right environment.
Exactly. Everyone's on their own journey at their own pace. But the goal is for everyone to eventually reach that higher state of being.
Makes sense. Okay, but back to Earth for a second. Creating this kingdom of the good, it sounds like a massive undertaking. Where do we even start?
The spirits actually had some pretty concrete ideas about that. They
Hmm.
were big on sharing knowledge about the spirit world.
Like spreading the word, telling people about what we're talking about right now.
Exactly. They believed that the more people understand about the afterlife, about how we're all connected, the more compassionate they'll become.
Yeah, the more you learn, the harder it is to be,
Yeah.
like, mean or dismissive,
Well,
right?
exactly. Knowledge is power. But they also stressed the importance of, actually living those values.
So walking the walk, not just talking the talk.
Yep. Be the example. Show people what the kingdom of the good looks like in action.
Okay, so we spread knowledge, we live by example. But what if it's not enough? What if we mess it up, as humans tend to do?
Well, the spirits didn't sugarcoat things. They were pretty clear about the consequences. If we choose darkness, if we cling to selfishness and greed,
We're going to pay the price.
it's not about some cosmic punishment. It's more like those choices, they naturally lead to suffering. It's cause and effect.
So we really are at a crossroads here, huh?
It seems that way.
Yeah.
We can choose love, choose to evolve, and create a brighter future. Or we can stay stuck in the old ways and, well, things won't be so bright.
Powerful stuff. And those aren't just empty words, are they? The spirits Kardec spoke to, they really believed this.
Oh, absolutely. Here, listen to this passage from the Spirits book. It's a bit long, but it really captures the urgency of their message. All of you, men and women of faith and goodwill, work therefore with zeal and courage for the great work of regeneration, for you will reap 100-fold the grain of wheat that you have sown. Unfortunate are those who close their eyes to the light, for they are preparing long centuries of darkness and sorrow for themselves. Unfortunate are those who place all their joys in the things of this world, for they will suffer more privations than the pleasures they have had. And above all, unfortunate are the selfish, for they will not find anyone to help them bear the burden of their miseries.
Whoa. So they weren't messing around. This is serious business.
They really believe that our choices matter, like deeply matter. They shape not just our own lives, but the fate of humanity.
It's a lot to think about. So much responsibility, but so much potential too.
Exactly. And it all starts with us, with our choices, with our commitment to creating a better world.
Wow. What a journey this has been. From heaven and hell to purgatory on earth, reincarnation, karma. We've covered a lot of ground.
We have. But I think the biggest takeaway for me is that we're not just along for the ride. We're active participants in this whole evolution thing, both personally and as a species.
Absolutely. And that's pretty empowering when you think about it. The power to change the world. It starts within each of us.
So true. And that's something to hold on to, something to inspire us to make those choices, to live those values, to create that kingdom of the good right here, right now.
Couldn't have said it better myself. This deep dive has been mind-blowing, eye-opening, and honestly pretty inspiring. Thanks for joining us on this wild ride, everyone. Until next time, keep those deep dives going and stay curious.